Hey everybody, Miranda Dennis here, your licensed clinical social worker, and I am back with another video on primary emotions. So I've put out a couple already. So far we've done sorrow, joy, and disgust. So today I'm going to talk briefly with you about the emotion of fear. As I have stated in previous videos, all emotions, the 8 primary emotions we are all born with, let me say it that way, everybody's born with them. They are innate, which means they are within us. It's not something that we asked for. It's not an emotion we prayed for. It just is part of our biology. It's the way that God created us. All other emotions outside of the 8 primary emotions. If you don't know what the 8 primary emotions are, I'm going to refer you back to previous videos to go find out what they are, or keep listening. So all other emotions are called secondary emotions. Secondary emotions are a combination of 2 or more of the other primary emotions, just like your primary and secondary colors. Emotions are very similar in that aspect. So it's a little bit of this, a little bit of this, and it makes up a secondary emotion. Like, let's see, what would be a good secondary emotion? Excitement. Excitement is a secondary emotion. It's a combination of 2 primary emotions. But today we're not talking about excitement, although I like to be excited. Today we're actually talking about the emotion of fear. One of the emotions that a lot of people fear is the emotion of fear. I don't really know exactly why, because it's something we're born with. I've used an example of a child before when we talked about disgust, and I'm also going to use a similar example with a child with fear. But let me say this, fear is not a bad emotion. Fear is a God-given emotion. I don't want y'all Christians coming on here talking about the Bible says fear not. The Bible, I know what the Bible says. That is talking about the spirit of fear. Having fear as an emotional experience is different than having the heaviness and the weight of the spirit of oppression of fear. 2 different things. Second of all, if the Bible is telling us to fear not, guess what, guys? There's fear, and there's fear in biblical times. There was fear before that. There's going to be fear now, and there's going to be fear in the future, because fear is a primary emotion that we were all born with. So, that being said, let's get into fear. So let me give a brief example. Well, before I give an example of fear and how it's innate, to help you understand it's not something that you ask for, fear is a protecting emotion. I want you to think about fear as our protector. Think about your child that has no fear, the one that's jumping off of the couch, then he's jumping off the porch, then he's jumping off the roof because they don't have any fear. That is very, very what? Dangerous. When we have fear, it prevents us from going places. It prevents us from doing certain things. It prevents us from being around certain people, because fear protects us from things that are harmful and dangerous. So it is the thing that comes in between us and danger, is the emotion of fear. So it is a necessary emotion. So I don't want to hear people saying, the Bible says fear not. I've already explained that. I'm not going to go through that again. So yes, we have fear. It is innate within us. You mothers, new mothers, with your newborn baby, maybe they're 6 months, maybe they're 6 months to a year, right? And it's only been you, your husband, and maybe your other kids in your home, and you go outside of the home and they've never been outside of the home, or they've never interacted with a lot of people, or take them to daycare for the first time. What's happening? What's happening to that child? Every fiber in their being is lit up on fire with fear because they don't know who those people are. They don't know that place. They don't know the sounds. They don't know the colors. They don't know the voices. And you're not there. So fear is telling them this is not a safe place for me. I don't know these people. Why am I here? They don't even have language yet they are communicating with every fiber in their being because they're probably screaming, they're pulling, they're kicking, all of those things to let you know, I don't want to be in this place. This is not a safe place for me. Get me out of here now. Fear does the same thing for us as adults. Our problem is because we've been bashed over the head so much with fear not, we're scared of fear. And that don't make no sense because fear is there to protect you. It's there to say, okay, let's be aware of our situation. What's going on? What do I need to be cautious of? Who's in the room? What am I saying? What are the things that I'm speaking? Because I need to be cautious and aware. So fear helps raise awareness of what you are doing, but also what other people are doing. So let me give you, and I kind of talked about this already, but I want to give you a few things that prompt fear. Some people are afraid of the dark. Some people are afraid of being in crowds. Some situations where you might feel like you might be injured or hurt. Fear shows up, again, to protect us. So some of the things that it's also cautious because there's always two sides to an emotion. So we don't want to go into this having the spirit of fear on us for everything. We want to just have some awareness of how we're operating in the world, how the world's operating in us, our environment, etc. I've already explained that. But what we want to do is be mindful of the things that we're thinking. So, if you're having the thought like, this is embarrassing, or I'm going to embarrass myself, or I'm not going to get help if I ask for it, I am never going to get out of the situation. Those types of things thoughts can prompt emotions of fear. So again, you would have to make sure, is this thought realistic? Does this thought fit the facts? If the thought of, I'm not going to get what I need if I ask for help, if that's real, true, and valid, then ask someone else. Find out who is the person that can give me the help that I'm asking for. Don't keep asking the same person for help and not getting it, because then you will cement in your mind, you will create a mental map that says, every time I ask for help, I'm not going to get help. So that's going to impact your self-esteem. It's going to also increase fear that is not necessary. It's all kind of misplaced, because if you keep asking the same person for help for something and you're not getting it, turn your attention, find someone else who can give you the thing that you want, or ask yourself, can I do this thing? Am I asking for help for something that I could do myself? That might change your thought process and get you to a different space, okay? These are just quick examples. Y'all can't get no whole free therapy session out of me. I'm a therapist, okay? I'm just trying to condense it down. If you have questions, put it in the comments. I'll circle back around. But these are some of the basic things that I teach my clients every day of how to really love their emotions, accept their emotions, be present with their emotions. But I also teach, and I don't usually say but, and I also teach emotions lie. So you can't always believe the emotion. You have to check the facts. This is why I said, are the thoughts that you're thinking, are they real, true? Do they fit the facts? Because our emotions will make us believe a situation is unsafe. But if I'm at home in my home office and I'm the only person here and I have protection, what do I actually have to be afraid of if fear tries to rise up in that moment? Okay? Just quick examples, guys. Translate this into your own life as you see fit, but I want to help you to learn how to manage these emotions better, because emotions are not scary. They have information, and we have to listen to the information our bodies and our emotions are communicating to us, okay? So let's see. Speaking of bodies, What are some of the body cues that people have with fear? Sweaty palms, maybe something happening, the bubble guts are happening, maybe tightening of the chest is happening, maybe you feel nauseous, maybe your heart's beating faster, feels like you want to scream. All of those things may be an indication of fear. This is why I tell you, you have to know how fear feels for you, how all of your emotions, they are communicating in your body. So fear for me may feel very different than fear for you. So if you are constantly, sorry, if you are constantly avoiding emotions and you're not labeling or sitting in those emotions or experiencing them, then you are going to be clueless as to how your body is giving you the cues that something isn't right. You're going to mislabel the cues, and then you're going to be stuck and not know how to cope on the other end. So this is why you have to pay attention to what you're feeling and sit in that. Sit in it. Feel it in your whole body. Okay, guys? Also, how people express fear is different. Some people run away. Some people freeze. Some people feel like they are speechless. Some people feel like their thoughts are jumbled. Some people are just like in this blank stare. That happened to my godson once. He was little. I'm going to tell this quick story. So if he watches this, he might be a little embarrassed. But he was, I don't know, maybe 8 years old. And he's over, we're having spaghetti. It's delicious, by the way. We're having spaghetti, and he's like watching, I don't know, some kids show I had put on the TV for him, and he's like really into it. You know how boys get. They have to get all into the whatever they're doing. So he has this tray table, and he's so into it, he jumps up. He jumps up. Well, the whole tray and plate of spaghetti. I swear, guys, it was like slow motion. Splat on my light cream carpet. And he stood there and he looked at me and he froze. And I'm like, what are you doing? Don't just stand there. Let's clean it up. You're not in trouble. But he was so fearful and afraid in that moment. He didn't know how I was going to respond because literally the whole plate, spaghetti, it's spaghetti sauce. It's hard to get out. And it wasn't a problem. I had something to get it out. But the look on his face was like, I'm dead. I'm going to die today. So everything in his little being froze. He didn't know he couldn't even talk at that moment. So sometimes fear can be paralyzing. But again, if you're good at experiencing, labeling, and expressing, you'll be good at coping with any emotion, fear included. So, some of the things that you want to be cautious about when it comes to fear. You want to be cautious if you're finding that you are doing something called ruminating. Ruminating means that you are it's like beyond overthinking, right? It's to the point where it's the only thing you think about. And it's the lens, fear becomes the lens that you see everything through. So now you are afraid to express your opinion, afraid to ask for something, afraid to go somewhere. It becomes such a loud voice in your mind, that it becomes debilitating. Now you're starting to move into what's called the spirit of fear, and you need deliverance. That's different. Sometimes people who go on the other spectrum of fear, they are very, very confused. They can't make decisions. They feel like they're losing control of things. Their attention is very, very narrow. Like that's the only thing that you can focus on. You begin imagining all the possibilities of losing and failing and not doing things correctly. You become very hyper vigilant to somebody's after me. Okay, now you're moving to the other spectrum, and that's not healthy. I've said this before. about mental health in general. Mental health is a spectrum. Sometimes you're on this end doing really, really well, and sometimes you're on this end maybe not doing so well. It is a spectrum. Emotions also are a spectrum. So we have fear, and fear in itself is a good emotion. It's something we are born with, it's something we need. But when you start going on this other end of terror and just horror, then you're moving to maybe a not so healthy portion or spectrum of the fear experience. So you want to find ways to down regulate that emotion. Calm body, calm brain, calm brain, calm body. Okay. So this is why your therapist or people will talk about mindfulness and deep breathing and all of those things. So I'm not talking necessarily about coping skills in this video, but those are some things that people do to down regulate the experience of fear. On the other end of fear, you might just have some uneasiness, some worry, you might be, some anxiety might be also on the lower spectrum of experiencing fear, which is good because when you're on the lower spectrum, these are things you can deal with. These are things you can experience and label. Even when you're on the other end, you want to deal with it, you want to experience it, you want to label it, and you want to downregulate. Okay, so that's all I'm going to talk about fear today. Let me know if you have any questions about fear. More than happy. I'll circle back around. I'll drop some more nuggets for you in the comments as you have questions, as things come up. But stay tuned. We are going to keep pushing on through the primary emotions. There are a couple more. So if you haven't seen the other videos, make sure you go back. If you find this helpful, make sure to share it out with someone as well. Until the next video, take care.